pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, happy belated 4th of July. I already got a couple nice comments on my tie, so land of the free and home of the brave. Happy birthday, America. This is the closest meeting we've had to July 4th. Introductions: to my far left, Director of Curry County Operations, Brad Rickert. To my immediate left, Curry County Commissioner Christopher Pash. My name is Court Boyce. To my immediate right, Curry Commissioner John Herzog. To his right, County Counsel Anthony Pope. To his right, Staff Jesuit. Again, welcome everyone. On the line of duty casualty report board, I'm going to go directly to the agenda amendments, and I'm going to go to Commissioner Herzog, see if he has any recommended agenda changes. Go to you first.
Yes, sir. I asked that we could pull 8C from the agenda, discussion action items. If that's approved by everybody else.
I'll go with that. Do you have any comments? Commissioner Pash?
I'm just wondering why it needs to be pulled. It's an elected official in the county that wants to talk about something integrity.
Any further discussion? So we have a consensus 2-1 to pull that from item agenda discussion action items 8C. Any others, Commissioner Herzog?
Nope.
Commissioner Pash?
None.
We'll actually have several. I don't think it'll take too long. The line of duty casual report, I'm going to move to a quick presentation. And then also on the Curry County Back to Blue, I want to postpone that to September 21. I'm going to ask a workshop. I need more time to pull key law enforcement professionals and people in. I'll do that through a partial report, and that will be on item 5B.
So you're pulling 5B?
Part of it. The portion has to do with my recommendation for future law enforcement in Curry County. I want to move that to a workshop on July 21st, which we already have scheduled.
Okay, you said September.
Did I say September?
Yes.
I didn't.
Yeah.
If you did,
I'm looking for a vacation at some point here, maybe too soon. I also want to put in item 8. I think we're going to move the courthouse capital construction improvement plan then to 8C. I'm going to have 8D. Let's see. Report to the board and the citizens update on recent Curry litigation. I'll need about 10 minutes on that. And then also I want to add on the workshop for this afternoon, discussion for fleet-wide management through the enterprise company. I put a copy of the ARS on your desk, and that would be around 2:30 today, again, for our afternoon workshop. And that's going to take about 30 minutes, and I've made arrangements for Ryan Alford to call in on that meeting. And then there's one more, adding agenda item 13 to other. It's titled "The Resolution Supporting the Protection of Constitutional Rights During Future Oregon Emergencies." I also put a copy of that on everyone's desk here. We might turn that to an action item today, but that will be up to the board. It's a pretty quick read, and I can read it at the time. So, anything else, board? I think that's all I have. Let me double check here.
real quick on that one other thing, if we could, in presentations, move Sheriff Ward's
Oh, excuse me, yes.
introduction.
Instead of public comments.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Well, I have a couple things.
Sheriff, is that okay?
Either one, whatever you want us. I had the wrong agenda item, so we want to put our public comments, that's fine too.
Well, I said presentation, I think.
No, I think we can do public comments.
It's up to you. I'm good.
Sounds like everybody's pretty flexible here, huh? Mr. Pash?
Well, I'm just wondering if the conversation that you want to add to the agenda about legal issues, that where we stand, has that been cleared with county council?
No, it has not.
What's that?
I guess, yeah, well, I kind of want to have a quick
I'm going to read the
discussion.
Department of Justice ruling, and I
Okay.
have a couple comments, so that's public information.
That's fine, yeah, because that's not, county litigation, so that's fine. Just as long as it's not any of the current
Oh, I see.
lawsuits
Okay.
that the county's in.
It was sort of litigation. It was litigation, but it's done.
Okay, and there was, as far as the budget, the enterprise thing, this is, previous boards have already said no to this. We've got a plan in place already that this board, a previous board voted on. It's a 3-year plan that Rich Christensen and I put together, and it's the second year of a 3-year plan. I don't know why we want to try to uproot that in the middle of the plan.
There's still a chance to save money. He's made 2 presentations here. Have you not had at least reasonable, good feedback that he knows his business and there's a potential for the county to save money?
Well, when we first met with him was when I was in the first few months of my election. You asked him to come in and do a presentation. He did. Rich Christensen was in that meeting, and we had already, Rich, as the liaison for the road department, he and I had already spoken about reducing the motor pool. We took a bunch of cars that were full-term out of service, excuse me, and started a 3-year plan where we buy it wholesale and we will sell it retail once those 3 years are up. The board voted to do that, and we fully instituted that. Again, we're in the middle of that process, and twice the board has voted to continue with that, and now here we are again bringing up enterprise fleet management, and while we're in the middle of another plan that a previous board had already voted on and financed.
And you said the board voted twice on that. I question if that's accurate. You've seen the things that have happened with the national economy, with the Oregon economy. Why would you not want to have, if I understand correctly, you're opposed to having a simple 30-minute additional dialogue? Roadmaster Christensen has spent a lot of time on this. I think he's ready to listen and contribute and see if there's a way to save money. That's what we're here for. 30 minutes. That's what I'm asking for, Commissioner.
Question?
Yes, Commissioner Herzog?
Do we have a contract that, Chris, you said 3-year?
No, what we did is we started our own fleet purchase.
Okay, yeah.
We removed a bunch. Rich and I through the board, we picked a bunch of cars that we took out of service and wholesaled and sold. We reduced the fleet down, and we purchased some new cars, and we were going to resell those cars after exactly 3 years while they still had a warranty on them, and they would bring a premium in today's market. So we actually believe the county, the zero sum to the county will be at least a break even, if not a profit. So that's where we're in the middle of, and to stick a wrench in the middle of that, to hear another presentation, another 30 minutes from this guy, I guess is fine with me, but this is something we've addressed, and you even say in your briefing for the 3rd time, so that shows that we have already voted on this twice.
No, we didn't vote, Commissioner. We just didn't act on it, and we let you take your 2-year program.
3-year program.
Well, okay, but it's been 2 years to date,
Yes.
correct? And so this is an opportunity to, if he can say, and he has high recommendations from Jackson County and other municipalities, so why wouldn't we want to I'm just shocked that we wouldn't want to really pursue this research and see if we can save some additional funds. And also we'd get something additional off of Roadmaster Christensen's desk. So the county got real lucky with the economy that we landed on our feet with this, but we want to prepare for the future, and I think this company is the best way to go, at least to take a look at it. So that's what I'm asking the board. So anything else on amended?
Well, do we have consensus on that?
I think we, do we?
Um,
30-minute workshop. I put it on your desk, the program he has for Curry County.
Whatever, another 30 minutes, fine.
If Chris is okay with it, I'm okay with it. 30 minutes? Can we do anything in 30 minutes? Anyway, so we're good.
Anything else, board? Okay, I'm going to read something here when it comes, just before we go into public. Yes, excuse me, go ahead.
Make an amendment to approve the agenda as amended.
Second?
Make a motion, I mean.
Further discussion?
I think I knew what he meant.
Call for the question, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes?
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
So before we go to public comments, protocol, I'm going to just read this real quick, an update. Protocol for speaking at commissioners' meetings. This was adopted a couple of years ago. Members of the public may address the presiding officer of the Board of Commissioners under citizens' comments. Because board workshops do not have an agenda item for citizen comments, comments from the public are not allowed unless by consensus of the board or as provided on a published agenda. Generally, a maximum of 3 minutes is allowed per speaker. A completed public meeting sign-in comment card form must be submitted to the commissioner staff clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Number 2, wait to be recognized. When your name is called, come to the podium and state your name and address for the audio record. Number 3, please stay on topic. If the presiding officer determines that the speaker has strayed from the listed topic, the speaker will be asked to return to the topic or be seated. Number 4, finally, please adjust your microphones, both of them, when you come up to the podium. Citizens are expected to conduct themselves with courtesy and respect. Use of profanity, overly loud, argumentative, accusatory, or insulting comments are not permitted, and if disruptive, may be cause for removal from the meeting. That basically says it. Also, Councilor Pope, were you prepared to give a update or a statement on the established Curry County Board of Commissioners rules of decorum?
Just kind of the second what you say, I know since I've been here, the meetings sometimes get a bit out of hand, and I hope that we can all kind of follow those rules and be respectful to each other. And then notice the employees and public, if you don't have an ARS or you're not giving public comment, before you get up and speak, you do have to be recognized by the chair and, invited to speak. And if at any point the board decides, that they've heard enough and they ask you to sit down, I just ask that you follow the board's instruction and do that. And that's all I have, Commissioner.
Thank you, Council Pope. So, on the agenda, we'll go to public comments, 3 minutes per person. Mary Rowe, please. Don't forget that microphone.
You know, Commissioner Chair, that I have a standing ADA request that
Yes, you
was
can have
entered
little
into
extra.
the record regarding the adjustment of the microphones. And when you don't recognize that, you are violating my ADA rights. Thank you.
So would you like me to go on?
No, they're fine. They're fine, Chair Boyce. I'm Mary Rowe. I'm here to speak about county committees. First, I need to clear up that last week's Gold Beach Curry County Reporter newspaper incorrectly represented what I said here in my last public comment. That what I actually recommended was for representatives from our cities, such as an applicant who is a mayor, not be appointed to the American Rescue Plan or ARP committee, as cities will receive their own funds, and that this BOC decide whether to fund each proposal for ARP funds separately. Next, I wonder if your decision to put 3 staff members on the ARP committee is a waste of time and money. If it would be a better idea to just have our county director and county council be available on an as-needed basis for consultation with our economic development coordinator serving as the staff liaison that is required on all citizen committees. Your press release states that those applying for ARP funds are discouraged from also applying to be on the ARP committee. I recommend contacting applicants and asking if they plan to also apply for funds in order to assure an ethical decision-making process by the ARP committee, or if they have an immediate family member who will apply for funds. Given that we are in a state of declared emergency in Curry due to lack of housing, it would make sense to put our housing coordinator, Mike Lehman, on the ARP funding committee and to ask for recommendations about housing proposals from the County Housing Committee before they are submitted to the ARP committee. Please don't appoint the same people to multiple committees. The more perspectives and skill sets we have on committees, the better. To allow someone to be, for instance, on the Housing Committee, the ARP Committee, to apply for ARP funds, and on the Regional Housing Committee would be an abomination. The Housing Committee is meant to be unique in that it would be comprised of members who have been directly impacted by lack of housing and not of people representing organizations. Alternates were allowed by the BOC twice to remedy special challenges on the Housing Committee. Alternates were not meant to be an ongoing part of the structure as they conflict with the representational positions by putting people in positions that they don't fit into. For instance, we have someone from Brookings representing North County. Continually appointing people to positions that they don't fit in is a violation of the Housing Committee ordinance that you passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Ward.
Good morning, Sheriff Ward, Curry County Sheriff's Office. Good morning, everybody. As I came here to introduce our new emergency services coordinator that we just hired, and when I brought it up to the attention to the board that I'd like to do this, I heard a comment that says, I wonder when you're going to make this decision. Well, I'm telling you, you just don't go out and hire somebody off the street. There's a long process that we went through to try to recruit somebody that had the qualifications to be emergency service coordinator. We've been through that, down that road by sticking somebody in, we settled, and it just doesn't work. We put out over the nation, to hire somebody or to interview somebody for emergency services. I think we had maybe four people apply, one from our county, and the rest of them were out of the area. There was one that stood above all the rest that we looked at. We called this person and see if she would come and interview from West Virginia, Indiana, somewhere back in there. The only thing was her last name is Ward. So that was my first question was, does she have any relatives in Arkansas? She said no. I said, then there's nothing to worry about because we're not related. So there's no relation. But what I want to do is introduce you to Monica Ward. She's emergency service coordinator with 7 years disaster response experience in the Army National Guard. Monica has been with the Army National Guard for 15 years and specialized in resource coordination and disaster response to islands and isolated areas as well as hazardous material events. She has participated in, evaluated, and planned disaster response exercises ranging from local to international levels. Monica is a trainer and an evaluator to military disaster response teams. In addition to completion of the FEMA Professional Development Series, Monica will complete her Master's of Science Emergency Management in the spring of 2022. She has received several honors and recognition for her service to the National Guard, disaster response teams to include 2 meritorious service medals and the Master Military Emergency Management Badge. She comes very highly qualified. I don't know what she saw in Curry County as far as being a single person all the way from West Virginia, but she flew out here, she interviewed, and before she left, I gave her a conditional offer because I knew she was just right for what Curry County needed. So I'd like to bring up Monica Ward and introduce her.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here and to work for Curry County. And what I saw in Curry County was an amazing little community that I wanted to work in someday and live here.
Ms. Ward,
Awesome.
did the sheriff tell you some of the disasters that we've had here the last 8 or 10 years?
We did not go through them in detail because I had read your hazard mitigation plan that was already published, and I had been looking into the landslides, wildfires, and all of that previously.
So, good.
Right.
Sinkholes,
Yeah.
tsunamis, highway collapses, welcome.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you here.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's just it. We're very pleased to have her part of our team, and I
Likewise.
think she'll excel, do what's right for Curry County.
Sheriff, who is she directly under, you then, or?
She is directly under the sheriff's office. Her direct supervisor will be Sergeant Jordan White, who has extensive emergency services training and experience himself. And of course, I have a lot of experience in emergency service, and Captain McDonald was an emergency service coordinator several years before he became sheriff in Lake County. So we have a great team to work, and she will be taking her direction from our staff.
Good news for Curry
Yep.
County. Thank you, Sheriff. Gordon Clay.
For the record, my name is Gordon Clay from Brookings, Oregon. I want to share my concern regarding what is continuing to happen in Curry County's inability to take care of itself by choice. The majority of voters turned down every property tax increase to keep a low rate, second lowest only to Josephine County. And wouldn't you know it, we're the only 2 of 36 counties in Oregon that are where the Oregon Health Authority had to take over. We're 27th largest county with the 15th highest per capita income in the state, but the second lowest property tax rate of 66 cents per thousand. This compares to a county half of our size with the 33rd lowest property per capita income, yet the highest property tax rate, almost double ours, of $1.24 per thousand. Something's wrong with this picture. To carry this further, I'd like to read the percent of positive tests that have shown up in the last 2 weeks in counties across the state. You figure out where Curry stands. 3.0, 5.5, 1.5, 2.7, 5.2, 3.6, 4.8, 2.6, 2.8, 5.1, 3.2, 0.9, 6.7, 3.6, 4.6, 5.7, 5.9, 5.6, 3.5, 1.7, 2.9, 6.0, 6.5, 4.2, 9.4, 1.9, 5.1, 10.3, 3.5, 6.4, 3.5, 4.0, 5.4, 1.7, 0.0, and 3.4. Answer, none of them. Curry County has the highest in the state at 13.3% and followed the previous 2-week period of 2.9% with 2 deaths June 15th and June 29th. We shouldn't be surprised since less than 36% of our county has been fully vaccinated compared to the average of 48.5% on the 3 northern coastal counties. Tourists aren't checking their itinerary for weather reports anymore. They're making decisions on to visit places where the citizens are not just interested in tourist dollars, but tourist health as well. What to look forward to? In Scotland, they found that the Delta variant led to 85% higher hospital admissions than other strains. Most were unvaccinated. The same study found that 2 doses of Pfizer offered 92% protection of Alpha, 79% of Delta. This dropped to 33% of those that had only one dose. Finally, I've tried since April 5th to find out what was going on in the Curry County crisis line 877-519-9322. Since it's still being looked into, I recommend anyone who has one of the 20,000 semicolon, are you okay, or text 741-741 crisis wallet cards that I've distributed in the county over the last 6 years with that number to dispose of it and go to any of the 103 retail locations found at zeroattempts.org/curry.html and get a new card with a national crisis number on it to be safe. What's going to be done about the returning to school health centers and providing medical and behavioral health services for students and the community at large? The 2019 Student Wellness Survey found that 7% of 6th, 10% of 8th, and 8% of Curry County 11th graders self-reported that they had actually attempted suicide during the 12 months leading up to the survey. Our students need that support. Get vaccinated. Don't continue playing Russian roulette with your friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. David Barnes?
Good morning, David Barnes, County Treasurer. Disappointed that you pulled an item that I had put on for the agenda for today. In the June 23rd meeting, Commissioner Herzog, you made a blatantly false statement that said that I went and received legal counsel and then declined to accept that counsel and went against the advice of County Counsel. Commissioner Boyce, you said that I made false statements to a court. That's an accusation of perjury, sir. I would hope that you would be more careful before you just let things slip out of your mouths in the future. While you've destroyed and squandered any reputation and respect that this board may have, I will not allow you to do that to my office as well by your just blatant false accusations and slanderous things that fall out of your mouth so freely, it seems. You know, you are a governing body. It is incumbent upon you to make sure that what you say is right and correct and does not harm and libel other elected officials. You know, I don't know what else I can say to you. I came here today anticipating retraction from both of you over the slanderous and libelous things that you said, and here it gets pulled from the agenda. Again, sir, you know, it's a pretty cowardly thing to do. Instead of facing what you did, you pull it because you have the authority to do that. That's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. You know, I look to you for honor and integrity, and it's something that I don't see in either one of you. Thank you.
So with the permission of the board, I think now might be a good time to respond to that instead of having an action or discussion item. Are you done? Because you still have about 1 minute left.
If you're going to respond, then I'll wait in case I have a response back.
I'm not going to get into a debate with you, okay? You just made some serious accusations. It's our responsibility now to respond. I wanted to wait till July 21st, okay? But I'm going to, with the board's approval here, I want to respond to you now, and that would include putting up the Department of Justice ruling that you received on about June 13th. It was dated June 11th, I believe. So I'm going to proceed. Is that all right?
You asking me?
Yes. Is that all right with you, Commissioner?
To read that.
I think you've got some veterans that are sitting here waiting.
Yeah, but they've just heard that I made slanderous and libelous statements against Mr. Barnes. So I'm going to take some time here. I know most people in this room, I think they would be interested in the truth as well. So the question, did Mr. Barnes, under oath, make false statements at the June 21st, 2021 small claims trial against me and the people, and then when not under oath on the 6/23/21 CC board meeting last week, and also having expressed your opinions often and with toxic statements for for almost 3.5 years now, at almost every meeting, including using the F word as you walked out the door, screaming at us, wait, excuse me, that's not fair, that's not right. You didn't scream, but we all heard you say cowards. I don't know how you think you can keep getting away with that, but it's destroying this county, and I'll explain why here, okay? I do think the judge was terribly misquoted, and I think it may be in the board's best interest and the public's best interest to simply listen to that audio, because I know for a fact you made at least 4 false statements. Now, you've accused me of making false statements, so I'm going to hold you to that, and I'm going to give you a chance on the 21st to prove what you just accused me of, in addition to the 23rd, okay? Those audios from that trial transcript are going to be very revealing, sir. So just the truth and the facts. It's a small faction here, Curry Radicals, with Mr. Barnes as a marketing arm, that are slowly but surely being exposed. So here's the judge's ruling, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start right with the top, the Honorable Joshua Spanzel, Curry County District Attorney's Office. Complaint regarding county reimbursement of litigation costs to Commissioner Court Boyce. Mr. District Attorney, forgive me, but this needs to be read. On December 22nd, 2020, you asked my office to review an incident in which Curry County approved a request for a reimbursement of litigation costs submitted by Commissioner Court Boyce. Specifically, you asked us to consider whether this case was appropriate for a criminal justice division investigation and potentially prosecution. We reviewed a small claims order, the number, a July 12, 2019 memorandum drafted by County Counsel John Huddle. By the way, that was 3.5 pages. And a Curry County claim for payment that Commissioner Boyce submitted for reimbursement of litigation costs. I want the public to make sure they remember now, in 2018, I was falsely accused. The judge absolutely ruled that it was political, defamatory, punitive, and unnecessary. And I have the trial transcript on that, too, if you doubt what he said. And he was rather forceful. So we also received materials provided by Curry County Sheriff John Ward and a March 25th, 2021 email from Curry County Treasurer David Barnes. Now, I have asked Mr. Barnes and the Sheriff for information that was submitted to the Department of Justice. For whatever reason, at this point, they have not provided, and Mr. Barnes did respond and had some conditions, and the Sheriff has not yet responded. I'm not sure what, if anything, they're attempting to keep from me. The relevant facts are that on September 24th, 2018, this is still back now to the Department of Justice, and their ruling, the Curry County Board of Commissioners sued Commissioner Boyce in small claims court to recover funds they believed he improperly spent on travel. The bulk of that expenses, those expenses were during 2 fires where the fire was headed to burning through Brookings to the ocean. I was in Brookings every day. 2018, the Klondike fire, I was there every day. We could have lost the community of Agnes. Specifically, the court alleged that the commissioner accumulated $5,500 of travel and training expenses in excess of the amount allowed under the Curry County travel policy for board commissioners and elected officials. The county also issued a citation to Commissioner Boyce for violating an ordinance that required him to obtain permission to travel prior to incurring the expenses. The court found in favor of Commissioner Boyce and entered its order on November 27, 2018. The court did not order either side to pay litigation. You're familiar with this because you had this before you went into the courtroom, Mr. Barnes. You had this information before you.
I testified on your behalf at that court hearing,
Oh,
sir.
no, you didn't.
What?
No, you didn't.
I testified on your behalf at
Excuse me,
the 2018
Yes,
court
excuse me, I
trial.
thought you meant the 2021. My apologies. Yes, you did. You also said you worked hundreds and hundreds of hours. You only testified for a few minutes. So you are a little loose with your...
You don't know what time I put in preparing your defense, sir, please.
So the court found in favor of Commissioner Boyce and entered its order. The court did not order either side to pay litigation costs. The order did not prohibit... This is pretty important, Commissioner Pash. Have you seen this? You had access to this as well.
Why are you...
Because you're giving a sigh of disgust here. Don't you
Commissioner?
think this is important to the citizens?
Can I be clear about something? I don't sigh in disgust right now. I have a lung issue, and I have a lot of trouble breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeking medical help lately, and I sit on an oxygen machine. Right now, I'm having a little difficulty breathing, so I took a deep breath.
So do you want to hear this?
Oxygen in my blood, okay?
Okay.
So don't accuse me of sighing in disgust when I'm actually trying to breathe.
Okay. Did you have this accessible before you went into the courtroom last Monday, the 21st?
That has nothing to do with what you just stated about me. You just made a public statement about me sighing when I'm actually trying to breathe and survive.
Do you want to hear this? Are you interested in the truth, sir? Okay. On December 19, 2018, Commissioner Boyce submitted a request to the county for reimbursement of this litigation. His litigation costs totaling $32.88. That request was reviewed by County Counsel, Mr. John Huddle, who concluded that the county could lawfully reimburse the commissioner as long as he had receipts, proof of the expenses. Again, this is reimbursement for a trial that I should have never been subjected to, that I was solidly ruled in my favor. I did nothing wrong, and I was asking for my reimbursement. And more of this is all going to come out on the 21st of July. Everything to see who is making the false statements. The county operations officer approved payment on July 16th, 2019. The county accountant completed a finance review on July 19, 2019, indicating the paperwork was in order, and a check for the cost was issued. Two of the other commissioners disagreed with Mr. Huddle's conclusion, as well as a concerned citizen, which was, at that time, David Barnes. He wasn't treasurer, not a public official. So here's, I won't repeat this, but I'm going to ask everybody to listen carefully. Here's the final ruling. After reviewing the matter, this is back to the Department of Justice, emphasis on justice. We have determined that a criminal investigation would not likely lead to evidence that would support criminal prosecution relating to the reimbursement. In Oregon, the crime of theft requires that a person take, appropriate, obtain, or withhold property from another. Because Commissioner Boyce requested the reimbursement through appropriate channels and the county approved the reimbursement, we cannot prove the crime of theft, because the request for reimbursement did not violate any statute related to the office of commissioner. We cannot prosecute him for official misconduct in the second degree under, and they list the ORS, because his request did not constitute a knowing failure to perform a duty imposed on him by the law, nor was the request an unauthorized exercise in his official duties. We cannot proceed on official misconduct in the first degree either. County Counsel, likewise, was acting within his authority when he issued his opinion that the reimbursement for costs was legal and Commissioner Boyce's claims for payment could be approved. No crimes are implicated in his conduct. Therefore, this is not an appropriate case for the Criminal Justice Division. The judge ruled, coincidentally, 10 days later, after this letter was written, and on four primary things that are almost identical to this letter. And he dismissed it. So I'm not
Sir,
done.
the judge dismissed this matter because he found the treasurer's office did not, by ORS, have the ability to file a lawsuit on behalf of the county. That is why it was dismissed, for no other reason, sir. He did not argue. He did not issue ruling on the merits of my case. He dismissed because He found in the ORS that the treasurer's office does not have the authority to sue on behalf of the county.
So you did it in silence instead of bringing it to the board, which you knew you should have done. Everything was done in secret, just like the March 5th meeting, where you called a meeting and I had 10 minutes to get here. You called that meeting, March 5th, 2021.
Okay?
In secret, in silence,
Not in secret.
and for political advantage.
I have nothing, sir, I'm not political. You appointed me to this office. I didn't run for it.
Well, you weren't my first choice, I can assure you.
I know that, but you still voted to appoint me to it,
For the
sir.
false statements you've made, Mr. Barnes, I have deep concern with you handling millions of Curry County funds.
I have
So
deep concerns with you having to do with anything, sir.
Yeah, have I done anything political?
Absolutely.
Have I sued anyone? Have I censored anyone? Have I tried to remove everybody from the chair? You want to stay in this room, ma'am? Would you please control yourself?
It's hard when you make such
Answer my
just
question.
statements like that,
Have I ever
sir.
drug this county into a lawsuit, Mr.
That
Barnes?
has nothing to do with being political,
Ever
Mr.
draw-
Boyce.
Of course it does.
It does not, sir.
Keep your voice down, please. I'm afraid you're going to yell out and start cursing again. Answer, let the public know. Have I taken anybody to court? Have I censored anyone? Have I put anybody up for ethics violations? Have I investigated anyone? There's 9 things that this county has done to me and the citizens of this county. They've lost every time. They have had 8 cases, litigations counting Curry Community Health. We've lost 8 straight. I opposed every one of those because they were ludicrous. And in the beginning, you also opposed those. Now you're going the other way. That's just a mystery to me. I don't understand.
I'm seeking justice, sir. As I said in the last meeting, just because you're not being prosecuted does not mean a crime was not committed here. I still believe that you stole county money. That is my professional opinion.
And so the judge and the Department of Justice both have...
The judge did not rule on this, sir.
Let's go back again. Just like we did on the 23rd. The 4 things. He did chastise you, Mr. Barnes. You didn't have a right to file that lawsuit by your own admission a moment ago. Instead, you didn't bring it to the board. You hid it from the board. And you went to, I believe I can prove that you went to the district attorney with Commissioner Gold in December to collude and try and get me in trouble again. It didn't work, and it's not going to work. You're wrong. You're destroying this county, and you're telling me I'm political because I have to continually defend myself from this nonsense. This only happens in Curry County. Doesn't happen elsewhere.
I've never seen this happen anywhere else, sir. I've never met anybody like you in my life.
Well,
thankfully.
So I haven't sued anyone. You don't think that would tell the citizens that I'm just defending myself and trying to hold this county together? I've been nonstop here for 4.5 years trying to do my job and do others' job who are part-time commissioners, and you've also mentioned that in the past. So here we are having this long discussion where you attack nonstop, and you are absolutely defeated every time. Are you ever going to stop, or is who's being political here? What is your next move?
I don't have a next move, sir. I'm not being political.
What you call it then? When you
I call it seeking justice, sir.
lose 9 times?
I haven't done. I have not done anything 9 times.
Order on this. This is public comments, not a.
Yep, you can do a point of order anytime.
County Council?
I mean, it's the board's meeting, they can run it how they see fit. And I don't agree with this.
Apologize, you guys have to listen to all this.
Do you want the truth, Sheriff?
I know the truth.
What is the truth?
Well, the one thing, excuse me, you had asked me in an email for information that I forwarded to DOJ. That's a public information request, Mr. Commissioner. That's not what you do, and I conferred with County Council. That's not a proper public information request. If you want it, go through the proper steps to get it. And you asked, I went back over there and I turned on my internet and saw you say, you brought my name up as you asked for this from me, and then I haven't responded. I haven't responded to you since April 29th when you sent me this 2-page email full of threats and accusations. I'm not going to deal with you on that kind of stuff because you do have a problem. So I'm asking County Council to refer to those emails that I forwarded you to him from you, and he says that is not a proper way to do it. You need to go through a proper public information request.
And a simple request to you, knowing
It
each other
doesn't
our
matter.
entire
That
lives.
stuff that was in part of information, I went through an investigation to the Department of Justice. If you want that, you can go to the DA to get it, or a public information request, just like anybody else.
I went straight to I went to you first.
You
Sheriff.
can't do that.
I went straight to you first, Sheriff. Yes, I can, and I can go.
I'm not going to
went
give
the
you
Department
something
of
unless
Justice.
it's done properly.
Interested in justice and truth.
I already know it, so.
Okay, all right. So I'm not going to recognize you right now until I'm done.
This should not be going on right now. These people should not be subjected to this.
No, the whole county shouldn't be subjected to 9 attempts to destroy.
You're still doing it, so.
Okay. Would you help put a stop to it, Sheriff? Will you try and unify the entire county? Based on what?
I've been here 30
innocent the whole
years.
time.
I've been the sheriff for the last 6 years. I don't think anybody has a complaint against me because we've done awesome in our public service in providing public safety. I don't go through and do all this stuff.
So what do you think I should do? Just not produce a Department of
You
Justice
shouldn't
letter?
bring it, you shouldn't be publicly doing this, and it's.
Well, why wouldn't it be public? Why wouldn't the public want to know the truth?
You know, here we are sitting here arguing when you're doing the same thing to me as anybody else.
I'm just baffled why you wouldn't want to
Do it in a proper setting, not this setting.
Why don't you tell me what a proper setting is then?
I'm done.
Okay. I'll conclude with this, ladies and gentlemen. Again, after further review and research, I'll have more to say about this in 2 weeks. Until then, I ask everyone who cares about this county and their futures to do their research. Find the truth. Get the facts. Truth has to be our goal. 4.5 years, I've worked long hours without exception to protect the silent majority here. I'm ashamed of the priorities. I remain with great resolve to repair all. And again, I'll ask anyone that's hearing this, figure out a way to help me unify this county. But the stuff has got to stop. The false charges and the legal attempts that have cost this county thousands of dollars, staff, court time, hard feelings. It's absolutely unnecessary, and all could have been avoided. Commissioner Pash.
So for a matter of clarity for the public, a judge in the small claims court dismissed the charge. His quote was strictly on procedure after he took a break, looked into the law, found an ORS saying that the county treasurer could not file a suit against the commissioner, that the board would have to do that. He said, for that reason, I am dismissing this on the grounds of procedure. And he said if it would like to be re-referred, that someone could take this back to a district court, I believe it was. The second thing I want to clarify is in this letter from DOJ, I spoke at length personally with a couple of people in DOJ, and they told me they are a prosecutorial agency, not an investigative agency. They would need another agency to do the investigation on this. Then they would determine if there was enough and proceed in prosecution. That's why the gist of this letter was written. From the sheriff's point, there was a detective that looked into this and found grounds for a legal prosecution. District Attorney Spancel denied it because he has a conflict, because it's an elected position against another elected position. That's why it was referred to DOJ, and DOJ said without a private agency doing the investigation, they would not prosecute because that is not what they do. They do not do investigations. That's all I have, sir.
So 9 defeats. What you just said about your conferring with the Department of Justice, nobody contacted me, by the way. I find that very unusual. What you just offered, though, is complete hearsay, okay? The judge made it clear that when he said no fees awarded, and the Department of Justice also clarified here to pay litigation costs, the order did not prohibit reimbursement. So it wasn't just one item. He also made it clear that the Counsel Huddle was completely within his rights. Again, go back and listen to the trial transcript. Was completely authorized by the board to do that and took his responsibility. So there was 4 things that the judge ruled, And he made it clear, you were out of line on that, okay? Well, how would you characterize it, Mr. Barnes?
He, as I said, as Commissioner Pash reaffirmed, who was also sitting in the courtroom, the judge did not rule on four things, sir. The judge ruled on the procedural element, and to correct what Commissioner Pash said, he did not say that I did not have the right to sue. He said that it did not specifically grant me the right to sue. The judge took the, since it was not a specific duty of the office, the judge read it that way.
And I'd like
Did
to...
he also-
And there was not 4 points that he ruled on, sir. He ruled on one, and that was the procedural issue.
Did he ask you why you didn't sue Director Schmelzer?
Excuse me?
Did he ask you why you decided not to sue Director Schmelzer?
I don't believe that he did. He asked me if if I thought Director Schmelzer was had a role in this, to which I replied that I believe yes, she does, just as county council did. And to correct something that you keep repeating wrong, sir, in May of 2019, the Board of Commissioners voted against reimbursing you. So don't say the county council did this with the permission of the board. He did not. He absolutely did not. The Board of Commissioners declined to pay you. They voted against paying you your litigation expenses.
Not true.
Absolutely true.
There was one vote no, I abstained, and Commissioner Pash abstained. So that's not a no vote.
It's a no vote. It's still a no vote.
And I want to say one other thing. We have a process for the public. We have a process that when an invoice is submitted, it goes to the department head. The department head signs that invoice. Then it goes to the director of operations or the finance director. They then sign that invoice for permission to pay it. Then it goes to a commissioner. The commissioner then signs the invoice approving payment. On this payment invoice, there is no commissioner approval to pay that invoice, meaning that it was never shown to a commissioner to pay for approval. And that was part of the grounds for why I personally believe that it shouldn't have been paid, was the Board of Commissioners voted no. I abstained because I also worked on this case with Commissioner Boyce before it was brought to court in 2018. We were at my home discussing the strategy of why the county should have paid his travel fees at that time. So I abstained on the vote because I had a conflict. I had to abstain.
So why do you...
So the only person that could vote voted no to pay it, which is a no vote per Oregon law.
No.
It is.
So why did you think that the reimbursement should have been paid back in those days, and then you changed your mind?
I didn't say I agreed or disagreed, Commissioner.
You just said you agreed.
Can I finish my statement, please?
Okay.
I was in the middle of a statement. I didn't say I agreed or disagreed, Commissioner Boyce. I disagreed with what they did with the travel restrictions on you. I absolutely agreed. What I disagree with on this was the process that you took. The board voted no, just like you voted to give public health away. I completely disagree with that. But guess what? Public health is gone because that's what the board voted on. The board voted not to pay you on this. 5 months later, I see a check written to you for payment on this, and there's no commissioner's signature on it to say we should pay this. It was that process was circumvented. That, to me, made the procedure on how this was done wrong. That's why I agreed with the court case to go forward, because you were initially asked to just give the money back and then go through the procedure again, and you said no. So it formed a court case. That's all I agreed to. I think the board was wrong to stop from paying you your travel expenses. But once the judge ruled and the board said no, that's a board ruling. And then months later, I see that that our county council got Director Schmelzer to sign on this, but there's no commissioner's signature on the invoice, and it was paid. And that's all I disagreed with. That's all I disagreed with, is the process.
So Director Schmelzer went to John Huddle.
No, John Huddle went to Director Schmelzer. I had a conversation with her about it, and he came to her and said, you need to sign this, and this is why.
So there's hearsay again. Okay.
No, she has made a statement to the court.
She did make a statement to the court?
She made a statement to the court.
Where and how?
It was written in, you'll find it probably in the minutes of the court.
Oh, that's
It
part of the
was
information I haven't got yet. So the judge did ask why why Director Smelser wasn't sued. I don't think you had an answer, but the reason you didn't sue her is because she didn't do anything wrong either. She had the right to do, and I opposed this in 2018. I said, no on 10,000 minimum before it has to go before the board. I think every expenditure of any amount should go before the board, okay? But she had the right to do that. No commissioner signed it. And as far as your December 2019 meeting of the budget, it's not on there. So you told the court that over and over and over again. I asked one time. That was May 22nd of 2019. I got a check 2 months later. Excuse me. So there's not on. You're telling the judge and the court that it went before the budget committee is false. And if you want to look at the minutes of the meeting, it also is not on the minutes. Okay. So all this is going to come out. I guess it has to. What choice do I have? I didn't pick this fight either, but I'm going to show, okay, because I have no other options, what is happening in this county and who's trying to control the county. Do we have anything else? Okay, thank you.
Chair Boyd, I'm concerned.
Okay,
You put this on the agenda for the next meeting, and yet we're doing it now. We've only got 5 minutes until whatever's happening, the public thing, and these people have been sitting here waiting for this to end. So I really
And I just
like to
did.
see us move forward.
yeah, thank you. I just made that call, and so
Apologies to all of you as well. I'm sorry.
you're going to start something else now? I hope not, sir. I hope you don't start something else.
Is that starting something? Talk about some thin skin, sir.
Thin skin?
You're a little bit oversensitive here, ain't you?
And you're calling me the politician, sir? You've
Stop.
That's-
Point of order. Point of order,
okay.
please. All he did was apologize, and as he's walking out the door, can we move on, please?
Move on.
So Connie Hunter. Pull that one microphone down a little bit there. Oh.
Something that you requested a while ago, and it's information about the names on the walls. I'm Connie Hunter, proud citizen of Curry County and an advocate for democracy. But I'm also going to ask something of some of the people in the room. I guess Mr. Barnes has left. If you looked at the Curry Coastal Pilot, there's a letter to the editor in there about PTSD because, of course, June was PTSD Awareness Month. And that I wrote that letter to the editor to highlight a number of things, including the fact that there are a lot of civilians that have PTSD too, not just veterans, and sometimes that's overlooked. So when I see the rhetoric being ratcheted up from this side of things, it makes my job harder as an advocate, okay? And this is not as bad as I've seen public meetings get. The port of Brookings Harbor was an amazingly hostile environment, to the degree that I actually went in and said, I'm asking for a reasonable accommodation under the Americans with Disability Act on behalf of those people in Curry County who have PTSD. Now, not all PTSD sufferers fall under the Americans with Disability Act. However, if you want to split that hair for every meeting, we can do that. But we have business to conduct, and as much as I respect the important role of advocates in our community, I also respect the fact that we need to treat you all with respect. Now, that doesn't mean we can't do our business or come to the point where we have disagreements, but I'd like to see us treat each other better, and I'm not seeing it from that side, I'm seeing it more from this side, and so I just wanted to get that point across. In addition to that, I wanted to bring some good information about Gulf War illness. My nephew just had his 30th reunion as a Gulf War veteran. and one of his buddies showed up and he was in bad shape, so we actually had to refer him to the VA emergency department in another state. But my point is, many of the same issues that happened to our Vietnam veterans as far as exposure issues with Agent Orange happened, of course, in the Gulf War. The doctors as well as veterans advocates could also see almost immediately that the veterans returning home from the Gulf War were having a lot of symptoms and a lot of possible causes that would make it easy to make the issue appear to be a mental health issue in veterans. So our Gulf War veterans really had a unique toxic soup of exposures of similar types of chemicals. With each slather of cream, because they had to put on deep cream, or some of the pills that they had to take, the troops increased their doses of ACE inhibitors. We've come to see that Gulf War illness is related to these exposures. The stress of battle, wonky immune system response after exposure to smoke, dust, and high levels of toxins at burn pits may have increased the problems for some people, but ultimately these factors did not matter. The research shows exposure to ACE inhibitors causes the series of symptoms experienced by Gulf War veterans. My point is, we did something very profound in Curry County to bring attention to Agent Orange exposures and to provide training during the first VA Healthcare Summit that we held to bring our providers information about Agent Orange exposure. I'm looking to talk to our Veterans Task Group about bringing and having a similar kind of opportunity for our providers to learn more about the exposures of Desert Storm, Gulf War veterans, and Gulf War illnesses. Many times civilian doctors don't have the information that they need to do proper diagnoses. And what I can tell you is brain cancers, if not caught early, and that's one of the big issues with the exposure issues and the other toxins that our Gulf War veterans have to deal with, is not uncommon, but they're not always recognized early. So one of our goals as our Veterans Task Group is to get more information to our providers, not just about mental health issues, but about physical issues. Thank you for your time. Keep up the good work, everybody, and let cooler heads prevail, and let us dial back the rhetoric, pretty please. I'd like to remain a credible advocate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunter. Okay, we have a public hearing on South County Parks and Recreation Tax District formation. Anybody want to comment on that from the public? Okay, anything, Council?
Yeah, the board does need to make a motion and approve moving forward to the second public meeting, which we I think we'd have on, can't remember the date now, July 28th, 2021.
Looking for a motion, Board.
So moved?
I'll second. Any further discussion? Staff Jesuit, call for the question, please.
Commissioner Pash?
No.
I'm sorry, that was a,
No.
no, okay. Vice Chair Herzog?
Yes.
Chair Boyce?
Yes?
Motion carried 2-1.
Okay, we have a presentation, and my apologies likewise for keeping you all waiting, but I've known most of you all my life, so naturally I want you to hear good things about Curry County too. So, Mr. Hinsman, would you mind coming up to the podium, sir? And then we will take a break right afterwards. And you have quite a group of supporters here. Debbie Salzman and my friend Don, thank you for being here. And Debbie's aunt, wow. So I'm going to read
John?
John and Loretta Bell.
Mike and Mary Helsel.
Oh, thank you very much for being here. Great to see you. So this is the Curry County, Oregon Board of Commissioners proclamation. Curry County proudly honors United States Army aviation veteran David Hinsman. His story: David was drafted December 14th, 1965 from Anchorage, Alaska.
One of two.
Thank you. Had his basic training at Fort Hood, Texas. AIT, Advanced Individual Training for Air Traffic Controller at Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi. David was assigned to the 55th Aviation Company at Yeouido Island, South Korea, serving as a GCA, Ground Control Approach Radar Controller. During his 13 months of service there, he was witness to a C-46 aircraft become disoriented and crashing into Nam Son Mountain near downtown Seoul City, South Korea. It killed all 9 crew members.
And 54 people on the ground.
Yeah.
Flew into a housing area.
Oh, yeah. Thank you again on that.
Were those NDB approaches back then?
Were they what?
NDB approaches? Or?
David had duty assignments in Okinawa, twice in Korea, Fort Rucker, Alabama, Fort Bliss, Texas, PTA in Pohakaloa, Hawaii.
Yeah. Pohakaloa.
Pohakaloa. That was a long
We call it PTA. It's easier.
Okay, thank you. This is really impressive. Fort Huachuca. Huachuca. I was going to get it on the second try. Arizona, and Sharp Army Depot in Stockton, California. While stationed at Fort Huachuca, David was sent to work the control tower of Buffalo International Airport. This was during the time when President Reagan fired all the air traffic controllers, majority, nationwide. David retired on February 28, 1986, with 20 years and 14 days of honorable service to his country.
2.5 hours also. No.
14 days, 2.5 hours. So you have a background in Alaska. You went to Mississippi, South Korea, Okinawa, Alabama, another Fort Bliss in Texas. Was it really Fort Bliss?
Fort Bliss, yeah. That was actually the Army's longest airfield. It used to be an Air Force base there, and we took it over, the 15,000-foot runway.
Wow.
And
Almost 3 miles.
yeah, just want to thank you for your service. It's been great to get to know you. Are you taking our veterans trip on the 18th?
The 18th of July?
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
I'll put John Bell.
I have to get a kitchen clearance for that.
We're going to put John Bell into recruiting you on that. And we might do a second trip on the 25th. We had to skip last year. So, and then 6 years as officer in the Red Shirt Group. Sent care packages to our troops.
Yeah, 4,500 boxes. That's just out of our little town of Brookings.
What a great bunch down there. Also, 5 years honor guard for the Marine Corps League. I got 2 really good pictures of you at 2 different events, by the way. You're an officer in the Vietnam Veterans Association, number 757. Member of the Veterans of Foreign War. Wow. So we're going to stand up and
I have
give
a
you...
question.
Yes, go ahead.
You happen to know a gentleman by the name of Louis Wunsch? Louis Wunsch?
Wunsch.
Buffalo Airport.
That doesn't ring a bell.
He was a superintendent of Depew Airport, and then he was a superintendent of Buffalo back during Reagan's time.
You know,
He was in the
could've been-
towers. He was in the towers back there. He also, the reason I'm asking is he flew in Korea as a Marine pilot. He was in the Marine Corps. That's why I thought you may have known.
I may have,
Yeah, a long time ago.
that was 30 years ago, and we were under a little stress at the time.
He's my family's claim to fame as a Marine pilot, and then he became ATC in Buffalo and became the superintendent of the airport there. So, anyway, thought you may have.
Thank you again. We're going to stand up and applaud you, sir. And Staff Judge, we're going to take a 12-minute break. See everybody back here at 10:20, please. So I'm going to skip the presentation, see how our time goes today. It is 10:20, back in session. It was pretty close to 10:20. So, Board, we need to look at the consent agenda. 6A minutes, business meeting, February 3rd, 2021. That was 5 pages. Good job, JJ. Consent agenda 6B minutes, Curry County Public Transit Service District budget hearing June 9th. Consent agenda 6C minutes, special meeting June 30th, 2021. 6D Housing Committee appointments. And consent agenda 6E appoint member to CC Board of Directors.
Move approval of the consent agenda?
I'll second.
Thank you, Board. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner
I just
Pack?
have a comment. You know, we talk about the minutes and the work that goes into that, as you just complimented Staff Jesuit. For the record, that job was originally 2.4.
2.5.
2.5. JJ's doing the work of what should be 2.5 people, is what that was originally set up as. So I know with all the meetings we have and the extended meetings that we're having, we may want to look to get some assistance down the road for that, because the amount of work that JJ's doing is enormous. And I appreciate it, as I know this board does.
Yes.
But I think we need to recognize that that position was never intended. I believe it was for 10 hours of meetings a month, roughly, and we are well in excess of that. And I just want the board to recognize that Staff Jesuit is doing far in excess of what was initially allotted by a Board of Commissioners. That's all I have, sir.
It's almost impossible, and I've tried to stump him on information requests. I don't think it's happened yet.
When I grow up, I want to be just like him. His memory is impeccable.
Chicago. Illinois. So, Board, going on to agenda item, excuse me, go ahead.
Need a vote, sir.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did you
Then we had discussion.
call for the question?
Yep. We had discussion.
Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yeah.
Motion carried unanimously.
Agenda item 8A, discussion action items, request for board approval of 14,851 road department purchase of 2,240 lineal feet. Is that lineal or linear? Welcome. Thanks for your patience, Roadmaster Christensen. 12-inch storm drain for South County storm drain repairs. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yeah, this is a housekeeping item. We have an invoice of $14,000 in excess for pipeline materials that I should have brought to the board before we move forward with the order. But we have an invoice to buy 2,400 lineal feet of pipe for our current projects, and it's just a housekeeping matter. It's in our budget every year, and it's part of our normal operations. And I'm just looking for board support for this purchase.
I have no questions.
Do we need a motion?
I think so. Do you, Commissioner Pash?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Roadmaster Christian, we're going to see you this afternoon, 2 different items.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your patience again.
Thank you.
Item 8, discussion action items. B, defining the duties of Director of Operations and Director of Finance. Commissioner Herzog?
Yes, so, going back to January, new commissioner coming on board, there was talk about, the duties of Director of Operations and Director of Finance, and in a public statement, I said that I would like to give it 6 months or the budget process before I expressed my thoughts on that, and so that has happened, and it's not any news that I haven't I've not been in, I was, as a commissioner running for, just a citizen running for commissioner, I didn't have a huge platform, but one of them was not a opponent or a proponent of director of operations for the county or a county administrator. But I wanted to, excuse me, go through that process, and I've seen it, and have the utmost respect for Brad, and we talked about a couple months into it, and asked him, can you do this? We were put a lot of pressure on him, and but 6 months is up, a little past, and I am ready to make a motion to, effective July 12th, current Director of Operations Brad Rickert will be transferred to the position of Director of Finance. The County Director of Operations position will be eliminated. The Board of Commissioners will resume prior supervisorial, that's a tough one to say, liaison. Supervisorial.
Can't say it either.
Supervisorial liaison responsibilities and orders, number 11787 and 12327 are reinstated. County Council will assume all non-financial and supervisorial responsibilities from the prior Director of Operations position. The county revert to the February 2017 edition of the Curry County Personnel Rules until such time as the County Council and Personnel Officer have had the opportunity to update the personnel rules and job descriptions for department heads and coordinators. And along with that motion, that Brad's current salary will stay as it is and not be altered in any way. And I and myself and County Council have talked to Brad, and it's just my feelings that this is the way I feel that I wanted to run the county or be a part of running the county, and so it's not in any way, this motion is not in any way I lost at words.
Demotion.
Demotion or anything like that. So, and I appreciate Brad and his efforts and just to go totally towards finance. So that's my motion.
Looking for a second? I will second that.
I have a comment.
Okay, be right there. So, further discussion? Director Rickert?
I would just say that I'll agree to be the finance director as Commissioner Herzog said, as long as my pay doesn't change, and that the contract that council has drawn up is signed, and I would like that signed right now, if you could pass it around.
After the vote, I would pass it around.
Okay.
So we agree that that's a big job.
Yeah.
A big job. Council Pope, could you?
One other thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You had, as part of your motion, you had made it effective as of the 12th. I guess I think why not make it today?
Okay.
Well, I think
Well,
we
this
should,
Monday, but
I think we should stick with the 12th so that there's a reasonable transition.
I'm still here.
Huh?
I'm still here.
Okay. Well, that's good.
I'll transition everything that I'm working on as operations to the appropriate people.
Okay. Council Pope, could you help us pronounce that supervisor? Is it supervisory or what?
Advisoral, I think is how it's actually
Advisoral?
said. Yeah, it's a tough word, but it just means that you have a responsibility to supervise somebody, I think is the definition.
And council, on that contract, did it specify the range?
The salary ranges, yeah, BB would be the salary range you're in now.
It specifies it on the...
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
So the public understands that that's always been the agreement, that the salary would not change if we ever followed this process and this change of government. Director Swift, please.
Julie Swift, payroll and HR. I just have a question. You said the personnel rules would revert back to the 2017 version. In 2018, we went painstakingly through every single article, and it's not just the change in who people report to, but there were a lot of changes made. And I think if we go back to that version, that could open a whole can of worms on a lot of articles.
Where did that one come from anyway?
Excuse me one second. That's an excellent catch. I think it is 2018, and so I think what we need to do is make this in addition to, or an addendum to reviewing those. Do you have something, Council Pope?
I think the issue that we have, and maybe Julie can give us a recommendation, is a lot of the personnel rules right now reference the director of operations positions, and a lot of the, discipline or, investigation and things like that, hiring, refer to him. How would you best recommend that we can update that?
Well, I think when we revised the personnel rules in 2018, and we, like I said, we went through every article with Council Huddle and Tom Huxley at the time. And that was when we put everything in about the county administrator. When the county administrator was eliminated, we went back and changed a lot of those things to refer to the director of operations. So I think the easiest thing to do would be to go through with removing that reference to the director of operations, but not necessarily go back to the whole 2017 version of the personnel rules. I think that's something that Anthony, you and I could work on together.
What would be a reasonable amount of time, do you think, for that? I don't see any rush in this.
Well, we've got to do the revision of Article 28 also, so I think maybe a month or two to get that done and
Okay.
get it changed.
You agree, Council Pope?
Yeah, that sounds...
Director Rickert, do you have anything else?
Nothing else.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pash?
Well, I have a couple things, actually.
Thanks,
First,
Director Swift. Appreciate it. I'm sorry.
so what we're saying here is this is nothing that Brad did wrong. Is that correct?
That's just not an issue. The issue is we need him in finance bad.
Well, but he was hired for another job, and you're demoting him to just finance director.
Oh.
Of course, okay, are we going to be mature adults and not have these comments? Can we talk like mature elected officials and not have the comments? Please.
I did make a comment.
Well, you
and
made
you're
a...
badgering me now, sir. Please carry on. You have the floor, and you have our full attention. Thank you.
I'm just wanted to go through a couple of questions, and I just asked for reasonable answers. That's all I did. And I'm just making sure for the record, it's nothing that Mr. Rickert did wrong. He's being demoted to finance from what we hired him for, which was director of operations. And I just wanted to make sure from this board that there was nothing that he did wrong. That's going to be an offense that we could take further action against him on.
Well, I hope, excuse me.
No, it's just irrelevant to me, and so I'm not going to comment. I'm just happy that we are fulfilling a need that I think he's very capable of doing. We have made it clear we want to keep his salary. He's moved his family here. We appreciate that, and we want to start over with the whole finance department, and we're moving forward. So I'm not going to comment on something that I think is just illegitimate to Commissioner Herzog's motion and desire to change the system of government here. And also, did you bring up Commissioner Laison and that responsibility?
Yep.
Did I miss that? I'm sorry. Okay.
So what we're doing now is we're giving up the conduit between the commissioners and department heads, which council may want to comment on what his legal analysis of that may be, but I want to say maybe ratcheting up from DEFCON 5 to DEFCON 3, the liability that the county could face from that. We're giving up I just don't know who's going to do all the work. Council Pope is already, as Chair Boyce has announced several times since he's been chair, of the amount of work that County Council has in front of him right now. And to add all of the work that Mr. Rickert currently assumes, you're going to be putting a lot of that on County Council. you are going to be putting a lot of the day-to-day operations, simple tasks that we take for granted from department heads. I just don't know who's going to be here to handle all of that and how it's going to get done. I want to say that the budget for 19 and 20 has been filed on time. You know, we were all sitting here a couple of weeks ago saying, where's Mr. Rickard? Why can't he talk to me? Well, he got the budget filed on time, and they're already begun work on the 21-22 budget, or the 2021 budget.
Audit. It's the audit.
Audit, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm saying budget, audit, I'm sorry. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that go on inside his office that wasn't getting done properly. A lot of the grants were not done properly. When I came on board, this county was so behind on so many things, and you can say what you want to about Julie Schmelzer. Did she have some personal issues with friendships in this county? Yes. As far as, in my opinion, the smartest director of operations of county government that I can imagine, because she, as we all used to jokingly say, thought out of the box and was very creative in the way she did a lot of things. But from that, she initiated a lot of things that Mr. Rickard has continued with and got this county back up to speed on. And I just don't know who's gonna pick up that slack and how much of it is gonna fall through the cracks because we have a fire and Commissioner Boyce is down in somewhere in the county working on that issue day after day after day. Or we have another landslide and we're pulled away from those operations to take care of those things in the county, and we drop the ball on other things. It's just like the money that we just got for the courthouse. That ball was dropped a few years ago because people got busy and the paperwork was never filed on it. And we had to wait another 2 years for that to come back around. And that's the courthouse issues. So I'm just very, very concerned that you're going to move Director of Operations who does an immeasurable job. I mean, it's hard to imagine all the things that office does. We all question, I think a lot of Commissioner Herzog, I think a lot of your questions is it too much? Can he do it? Can he keep up? I think he's proven he can. And I'm in great fear that there are going to be things that fall between the cracks once his office is gone that aren't intentional even, that just fall between the cracks. And 6 months or a year and a half or 2 years from now, we realize we forgot to file a grant properly, or we forgot to check this, or we forgot to, the state's new mandate on that. And we've fallen behind the 8 ball, and now we've lost the opportunity to get something. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Be right with you. Thank you. So Commissioner Pass, you mentioned the courthouse issue. Part of the reason that didn't get done, I took it as far as I could, but we had 2 part-time commissioners. And so, yeah, that got dropped through the cracks. So one thing I can tell you, like all the other counties do, they have full-time commissioners. I find it interesting that we're suggesting that anyone, like Director Schmelzer, could do double duty. We know what happened in the budget and where that left us, and yet Council Poe can't do double duty? I think we better try it, and I'm very optimistic it will work well. So back to full-time commissioners, back to liaison responsibilities. That's the way this county ran for years. It's the way the other 4 counties in our area run. I think you're going to see Director Rickard excel. I hope so. I think he's going to be relieved, and we have money going out of the finance department. You've heard me comment that's in overtime, that's contracts, payroll issues. We got a chance for him to take the lead here, and I'm going to be cheering him on all the way. That's all I have. Commissioner Herzog?
Chris, to answer some of your questions, the county has never had a county administrator until the last, I think, 6 years, 7 years. As Commissioner Huxley came 4 years.
I voted against it.
3.5 years, yeah.
I'm adamantly against an administrator.
Yeah. Well, and so, and the citizens have too. Home rule or charter or whatever you want to call that form of government, it has been voted down 3 times substantially. Got a chance to meet with the 3 Douglas County commissioners a couple weeks ago. Very nice men. It's over 600 employees at Douglas County. No county director of operations or county administrator. So I know it can be done because we're a lot smaller. I know it's going to be a little more responsibility for the 3 of us, but I think we can do it. I just know we can. And again, at the beginning, I want to make sure that you know, because you said this is not a demotion. No, this is a transfer to the position of Director of Finance. So Finance Director, I don't know if it's first or, how is it, Julie?
Finance Director.
Finance Director is the official, and I just feel like as liaison commissioners, we can fill that gap, and I got faith in all of us together. And speaking with Brad, he's got faith that we can make this work, so I'm good to go.
Director Swift, I apologize.
That's okay. Just a couple things, and I think I've said this before to clarify, the position, when it was called Director of Administration back to 2006, it's always been combined with something else, whether it was economic development or finance or community development. So it's never been just a standalone Director of Administration, Director of Operations position. It's always been combined with something else. So the fact that it was combined with finance this time was not unusual. But when Council Huddle was overseeing the Commissioner's office, he did receive an additional amount of wages to compensate for that. So that may be something you want to consider with Council Pope, because it is a lot of work and it's going to be a lot on his shoulders. But the board, as the board, is still the decision-making body. Not one liaison commissioner can make a decision, correct? Okay, I just want to make sure that stays clear.
Director
So it's not 3 different supervisors saying, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. The board still has to come together as a whole to make decisions.
Yes,
Director
ma'am.
Swift, were you going to say something?
Nope.
Council Pope? We can say, though, that there's been different job descriptions for the Director of Operations. We've never had one person take on 2 big departments, which would
Yes,
be
we have.
Finance and Director of Operations.
We
That's
had
never happened
we had
before this.
economic development and operations. We had
And I don't see
community
economic
development and
development.
operations.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't see economic development anywhere near the size and responsibility and duties of the Finance Department.
Well, back when Shelley Eaton was here, she was a combination position. And then they eliminated economic development, so that's why that split apart then.
Okay, we also have got some extra help for Council Pope. Just hired somebody full-time as what is that official title? Can you help me there?
Legal assistant.
Legal assistant,
Mhm.
okay. All right. So that even gives me more optimism, and he'll be able to choose and direct. And yeah, I think that when John Huddle was in the position of office manager, that was as smooth as this place ran. And I just want to remind the public, we've had 4 county administrators, director of operations, whichever you want to characterize it, label, in less than 4 years. We've had 7 county accountants, and we've had a lot of commissioners too. So, anything else, board?
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
No.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes?
Motion carried 2-1.
Okay, item 8.
It's just a salary agreement.
Are we on 8D,
Sign both of them.
fella? Courthouse capital construction and improvement. Commissioner Pash?
Well, this is something, as I just said, was brought up a few years ago, and I believe it was Commissioner Boyce that was tasked to do some work on this, and for whatever reason, it was never completed. It was brought back during Ms. Schmelzer's tenure here for me to look into. I joined the committee for courthouse security, and that when I was elected, and we moved forward with getting this done. This past year, I filed all the paperwork in Salem to push this. David Brock Smith did also help to push some of the paperwork forward on this, and I testified, I'm going to say about 3 or 4 months ago in front of the committee on this with the Chief Justice's office, and 2 weeks ago, maybe not 2 weeks ago, a week or so ago, we were given a capital construction improvement plan. Curry County Courthouse was built in 1956, is connected with a pathway to the sheriff's adjacent office and jail, ranked 42nd among 48 court facilities in the 2008 assessment, which is the lowest ranked courthouse, for which ODJ is requesting replacement funding. The assessment found the facility needed significant upgrades. Excuse me, and ODJ is requesting $3.5 million in the general fund to support the project planning. So this is going to be a long process. This isn't something that's going to happen in the next couple of months. As you can see, I've included on this in the packet the process in which it takes, and you can see how each county has gone through the several years of getting this done. I'm guessing it'll probably be a bond issue that will end up pushing this through. I do know, Commissioner Boyce, you asked if some of this money could be used on different things, and it cannot. This money is directed specifically at the whatever it takes to get the construction and improvement of our courthouse done, which this board has already decided to bring in an architectural firm from Medford, and they've already drawn up the preliminary plans of that. And this will allow us to now move forward with that process and get a safe and secure courthouse. And I want the public to be clear that the filing that I filed on this is only for the courthouse. This has nothing to do with the jail and this facility. We're actually hoping to be able to attach the jail and sheriff's office in a separate measure to the courthouse, and then, of course, the administrative offices of the county can perhaps be put on a separate floor in the courthouse building, saving the county dollars by having it all under one roof. And that's what this board and the sheriff's office has looked at with the preliminary plans that the architectural firm from Medford has already drawn for us. So I just wanted the county to know that this is the first step in a long process. The great news is that they did find that we are definitely in need of a courthouse. Our judges and court staff have been asking for this for many years. Tom Langford, who works with the Chief Justice's office, has done an enormous amount of work on this to get it done, and I just want to say a personal thank you to him. He heads up all of these committees. He comes down here when he needs to. He always gives us what we need to secure the courthouse and the safety of the citizens and our judges. He was actually instrumental in helping to do some of the funding for the new secure measures we're taking in the courthouse right now. And he has pledged to continue to work with me and this board to help see this through and the next steps that we have to take. So that's all I have, gentlemen.
Well, thank you. Commissioner Herzog?
I like the part about one roof, and under one roof that doesn't leak. We have a situation at the courthouse. I know this is not going to be a quick fix, but we have, we've got a huge problem with water intrusion in all our buildings, really, I think. So the quicker whatever I can do to help expedite, I sure will. So
I'm going to encourage the board to, I've been working behind the scenes on this, and appreciate the work you've done, Commissioner Pash. Curry County seems to have been number 6 for a long time, and yet we've got a major award there. I appreciate you mentioning David Brock Smith, others. Yes, certainly, Mr. Langford. This is a major lift, but I say that, well, it's even more than a major lift, but I say that without pessimism, and here's why. I'm working with a state court administrator in that if we can convince, it's not a hard, fast rule yet, and the work that David Brock Smith has done with Chief Justice Martha Walters, we might be able to make the case that some of the effort can be used for a jail courthouse combination. Now, somebody hearing that might go, oh, come on, that's not going to happen. But I am optimistic that we can make that case because of our situation, because of the property, because of the difficulty we would have in passing a bond to get this through Curry County citizens. I did the jail tour 2 months ago again, and as you said, Commissioner Herzog, it's amazing what they're dealing with. And it is, I don't want to say scary, but I'm glad I don't have to work there. So our responsibility, and I think that we're enjoined on doing everything we possibly can, but I think the first step might be, because of the architecture so far done, is to see how far we can get to assuring and recruiting them on our chances of combining the two, because a jail is a greater need, and that's not to diminish the condition of the courthouse at all. So that's where we are. I'm going to be meeting with Phil Lemon, and it's spelled Lemman, and you're familiar with Rob Bovett. I just got another email from him actually this morning, Associated Oregon County's top attorney, and so at some point I want to see if, and I know they will, they've already committed to that, coming down before the commissioners and saying, okay, here's what we're up against. How can we possibly, with David Brock Smith's help, with Senator Hurd's help, even other coastal senators and state reps, that Curry County is unique, and so we don't want to build one without the other. We will if that's our only option, but I just want to pursue, even if it's not the greatest odds, the chance to make that case. So thank you for listening on that. Yes, Commissioner Pash.
Well, I just want to say I've already been down that road with several people in the state, and we've been told that cannot happen because this is a matching fund. This would be a partial match with the state to help build this. They cannot intertwine the two. What we would have to do, and as I've spoken to this board about before, I have experience on bonds and taking bonds public through my time in New York. We would have to do one bond on this, and it would probably be a GI bond. And the bond would have to be large enough to contribute our part of the courthouse, the part that we would have to match the state with, and the jail and sheriff's office as one bond. But that part for the courthouse, we would have to cut that part out and guarantee that to the state, or they won't match. And the state may have more requirements on that than I know about right now. And I know if these gentlemen are going to come down, we'll probably learn a lot from that. But from what I've gathered from information and conversations that I've had, the two cannot be intertwined because of the matching part of it. That money would have to be a separate fund, guaranteed. But you could do one bond measure and then separate out of that bond the part for the courthouse. Because I'm guessing this is going to be a $25 million project, $30 million project.
So not to be pessimistic, but I mean, do you have an approach long-term for that $25 million as far as, because yes, as you just said, it is a matching requirement, and that is huge. That doesn't mean we can't apply for grants, of course, although we still don't have a grant writer. I'm going to keep beating that drum politely. But, it'll sound like I'm putting you on the spot because I sure don't have the answers. But as far as trying to get the voters with our government right now, that would really be a long shot. So there's some things that have to fall into place first, so go ahead.
Well, I think of the voters in this county, and it's not only this county. I mean, we could do, our bond measure is going to be, could be statewide bond measure. But I think if people see the conditions that our jail is in, that Judge Margolis's roof fell in on him a couple of years ago. Part of his roof fell in on his desk. I mean, if people could really see the conditions, the safety issues for juveniles and witnesses that come into our courthouse, the lack of safety issues, the safety issues for jail deputies going down into the, I mean, a jail is a jail, and I'm sorry if you broke the law. You know, you got to live in the confines of where you are. I remember seeing a movie years ago about a Turkish prison was in a cave. So, you know, but the deputies have to be safe, and the people that have to get to the inmates, the health requirements and all that have to be met. And I'm going to have to rely on people that have done it many, many times. ORW, the architecture firm, has done this in many counties across the state, and in Northern California, I believe they've done a couple as well. They know how to, you know, that's what part of this money is going to be used for, is to know how to push those and the avenues to take and the applications to file. So I'm going to rely a lot on what people that have done this several times go to Josephine County. They just went through this themselves, or Jackson County, and go to those people and say, okay, show us how you succeeded, so that we've got a template to follow, and we can get that done. That would be my approach to doing it, is follow the successes of others.
I like it.
And then also, you know, this architecture firm, they know how to put this whole thing together in a package, and to follow their lead on it as well. And I'm going to be knocking on doors, as I'm sure you all understand the need here as well. I would hope that every elected official in this county would knock on doors, as I've been told by our sheriff. He'll have deputies knock on doors and explain to people the situation that we have here in our jail and our courthouse. This is why we should vote for this. And yeah, it's going to cost the county money to do it, but I know one thing, I'd rather have a muni bond at 3.5%, 4%, whatever that's going to be, than put my money in a savings account right now and draw 0.0012%. So it's a lot safer investment, and it's a guaranteed investment. So that would be my approach.
Commissioner Herzog?
I like it.
Council Pope?
No comment?
Did you say no comment?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. So, thank you again. Before I flip to the back page of the agenda, anything else on the front page, guys? So, Director's report, Director Rickert?
Just have a couple of things. I wanted to elaborate on what Commissioner Pash had already talked about with the audit. We did complete the audit on time this year. In talking with the state auditor, there's only been one other time in the last 12 years that Curry County has filed on time.
Say that again, please.
One time in the last 12 years that Curry County has filed on time, besides this one that we just finished up. And so we are working on, we are starting our next audit so we can complete it on time without extensions this time. But that's really a big win for the accounting department as well as the county as a whole. Last thing that I want to say is that I've really enjoyed working with all the department heads in my role as Director of Operations, and I've found all of them to be very capable and worthy of our trust to run their departments. And so with that, I guess concluding my time as Director of Operations.
Hey, what day was that? On the 30th, late in the afternoon. You and Clerk Crook come into my office, and it was quite a pleasure, privilege, I should say, both, to sign that. Wasn't it just a half hour before 5 o'clock?
Yeah,
if I recall,
about
so
that time.
that was a big deal for me.
About 5:30 probably, but.
Well, maybe it was 5:30, excuse me. So, but we still made the official June 30th deadline.
That's right, we did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Commissioner updates? You still drinking that Dutch Brothers?
Yep.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, I mentioned the Vets River trip we're going to do on the 18th. JJ, I need to get something on the website for that. We did a press release. I'll spare you that. Let's see. Oh, I do have one thing here. I'm gonna postpone it till next week or till next meeting. So I'm gonna go back to. There should be 4 letters in this sequence. Senate Bill 192, 4,700 miles of river, streams, and gulches to the National Wild and Scenic River System, 120 days till the end of Oregon 2021 fire season. I posed this bill and sent it out to all the rural commissioners in Oregon. In fact, almost all the commissioners. And basically it says that this extra 5,000 miles, give or take, it's right down to even gulches. And so no vetting has been done on these streams. And so it will limit access, public access to these lands. It will make the biggest issue, and I think I highlight that reasonably well in this letter. It will make it harder to fight fire. I mentioned the Mule Creek Canyon Blossom Bar fire that burned right down to the water's edge, the most incredible part, most would agree, of the entire 210 miles of the Rogue River. But the fire is the biggest one that it eliminates roads or can be the first stage going to wilderness area. I've not heard back from my friends Senator Wyden and Senator Merkley, but I hope this bill fails until a lot of additional research goes into justifying this bill. It's too random, and it's not going to help Curry County at all in our visitor promotion or anything else. Second letter is, boy, Steve Byerland has been doing some incredible work. Dan Van Dyke, who is the Rogue District fish biologist, he had some bullet points I think is included in this letter, and it just shows you where we are with in your time at Lost Creek, Commissioner Herzog, and familiar with this. The water temperatures are going up, and it's because we've lost a lot, especially from Agnes downriver due to the Illinois temperatures up 4 degrees above normal, maybe 5 or 6 degrees this summer with the early heat that we had and the loss of watershed and shade that keeps the water cooler. And he just lines out the salmon die-off we could have. Now, we kind of anticipated it starting about now, but so far so good. We're actually having a great salmon run, and I hope that lasts. But it's a little late in the season, but it's looking pretty good. But on these bullet points, he is really working close with Steve Byerland in sizing up what the issues are and how we get that temperature down, how we get this money to go back to Lost Creek and fix and improve the entire system that is releasing less than 10% of the fish it should be releasing. So I won't spend any more time on that. If you have a chance to, like I said, all drought years, and by the way, Curry County needs to put itself in a position where we can get drought funding and grant money. We just haven't got there yet. But anyway, I want to mention, if you have a chance to contact Mr. Van Dyke, easily through Salmon and Steelhead Coordinator Recovery person Steve Byerland, recommend that. JJ, thanks for getting this on a roll.
I have one thing on that, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
Well, on that, I received this letter from Steve as well. And
you want to go back to bullet points?
Well, my concern is, I don't know, have they done anything more with the spring Chinook that were trapped? I know they said they went up part of the river and then they got trapped, and they thought because the temperature rises they were going to die, and they were going to try and move all them fish because there was supposed to be a bunch of them. I don't know if they got anything further done with that.
Have not heard.
Do you remember where they were trapped?
No, but I know they're trying to get them to something called Grays, something where the water was cooler.
Graves Creek?
Graves Creek?
Yeah, Grays Creek, yeah. There it is right there, the schedule release.
Which paragraph?
Focus has been on getting the spring Chinook that entered the river in late May and early June safely through the canyon and into the cooler water. And I know I received another email from Steve the other day saying that it looked Didn't look good for those salmon. And there's supposed to be a whole herd of them.
Yeah, they're trying to bottleneck up on the small streams, and it's an amazing sight. We've only seen that 3 or 4 times in the last 40 years, but it is due to the release from Lost Creek being so warm that the fish are just smothered, and they develop a disease called columnaris, and it actually cuts off their breathing. It's a gill disease, and so it's brutal, huh?
Ick or?
No, it's columnaris. It's a fungus that grows on their gills, and they can't breathe. They can't take in the water, and so that's almost inevitable this year. Steve and I are a little disappointed in, it's just trying to get the other counties involved, take more of an effort in this whole process, so we got our fingers crossed on that. The marble murrelet, picking up the pace here, they're trying to reclassify that bird as threatened, from threatened to endangered, and all the science points to that they're doing well, that they have suitable habitat, and they are increasing in numbers in Oregon, and how this can affect our tourism industry is why I've taken a stand on this through the Oregon Farm Bureau and written the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife and said, hey, no, back up on this. We do not, this would really hurt Curry County. And so I hope to get a response. If anybody's going to that next meeting, I think it's the end of this month, if they wanted to testify on that. And I think that's it. Can you spell marble murrelet now?
No.
So what else? I'll do my War on Cops thing next program, and then we have an afternoon. I put on your desk earlier my very preliminary plan with, and I'll just go through this real quick, American Rescue Plans, kind of an inventory here, and please withhold comments or anything until you come up with your own list or tell me why you think any of these should be moved around, and I would certainly be open to that. We're sitting right now with basically 1.511 is a current balance after the $715,000 to the new Curry County Dispatch. So that 1.5, a little bit more, million, 225 housing development and planning, all levels. Again, this is very preliminary, 225K to the 3 ports. I have somewhat of an idea how that might be fairly distributed, but I would need a lot of input on that, of course. And, I want to be able to show and encourage the citizens that, hey, we need to invest some of this money. We need to be extremely careful where we buy it. I think we need, as a board, need to keep saying that. $100,000 for Cree Broadband, a general contribution. That would have to go between 2 suppliers in Coos Curry and also Coos Curry Broadband and also Ziply. I've always had a vision on the the Cape Blanco Airport. That's still a sleeping giant. If we put some money on the table, I think, and plus the 65 acres that we have there, I think that might shake loose eventually some money for fencing and lighting from the OAA and the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. Am I saying that right? FAA, yeah. 100K for mental health services expansion, 100K for food awareness and security. I still want a grant writer. I'm going to keep encouraging the board. I've been turned down 3 times on that, and I think we've lost a ton of money. And the last time we said no, we had somebody who's going to volunteer, and that didn't last 1 minute. 50K for property, community litter patrol, firewise, and county beautification. My initial thought would be to run that through code enforcement. Everything about our county is always needing a little extra. So, and these figures are very arbitrary and very easy to adjust depending on other opinions and input. You've heard me say a couple of times, a little bit of funds for the water planning getting in contact with each of the water utilities in Curry County, river watersheds, agricultural needs, getting everybody, the environmental community, the cities, anybody with again, the farmers, anybody with an interest, we need to pull them together, and that may also take a contract position and a part-time deal, although I'm surely willing to take on that program. I want to Curry Forestry Planning, create a new department there. We may be a couple years off from that, but we're the only county in this area that doesn't have a county forestry department. You guys turned me down 2 weeks ago on New Generation Forestry for $1,500, and I think that would have been the start of this plan. And so I'm hoping you might reconsider on that. I think it's very important. $25K for a bicycle and trail path work. And so that would leave us, glad you're sitting down, $156,000, very general figure, to put in a lockbox for a minimum of 1 year. And as far as us stepping over or coloring outside the lines with the National Treasury, if we see something that we really believe in and it doesn't appear to qualify, I think we just have to make the case. You're already seeing at the national level, they're saying, oh yes, it can be used for law enforcement. That wasn't in the original ARP plan. So don't give up. I think on the 21st, we're going to appoint our American Rescue Plan Curry Citizens Committee. And that's all I have. Thank you. Commissioner Herzog.
Nothing, sir.
Commissioner Pash.
Nothing.
Oh, excuse me. The reason I said this $1 billion forecast, and I made a misstatement a month ago when I said the lottery funds were going to be lower this year. I want to apologize to the public, but they're actually going to be a little bit higher. So when you look at this forecast, this is another reason to have our county, and take notes, Council Pope, it's another reason to have our county very well organized with the help we hope to provide you on how to look for these grants, how to position ourselves and compete, and have very specific projects. And the courthouse and the jail, who knows? We just have to give our arguments for the rationale behind it. Commissioner Pash?
I got a question.
Certainly.
Lottery funds, does the county receive lottery funds?
We should be getting over 100,000 this year, maybe 110, with a little luck. It has to be spent specifically, but it is revenue that, is...
As guidelines?
Yes, absolutely. So, and then I think the marijuana tax is going to be a bigger issue down the road, and so we need to learn more about that. And also, they say the Southwest Oregon is the greatest spot on the planet to grow trees and marijuana. So, but there's a lot of illegal grows out there, not so much in Curry County, but in other parts of Southern Oregon. And so as the state gets through OLCC, gets better control of that, I think at the legislature too, they're going to start making a better argument. There's a House Bill 2015. I haven't looked at it to see how it came down the track, but that was to get higher than 3% for the counties and 70% to the state. So marijuana is going to be, I presume, a bigger revenue generating part of our state. Some say, unfortunately. Commissioner Pash?
I don't have any.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Okay, I got it.
Yes.
I had recently had the opportunity to have a helicopter ride to Ashland and back, and it was windy, so we flew low. And you cannot imagine the amount of marijuana grows in every watershed. The Chetco, the Smith River, wasn't, not so much in the Smith River, but as soon as we got to Applegate, there's no way that Oregon can smoke that much or use that much, just acres and acres of greenhouses.
Well, a lot of states, a lot of different states are leasing land in this state, doing their grows.
Okay. I was shocked.
Well, it's, I think you're both aware, and I think the public's aware, that it is really contributing to the fire danger. It's contaminating the water. There's somewhat of a war between the legal growers and the illegal growers. So if you're hearing out there, get to the state and get registered and get under the right process, because it's all putting pressure on our law enforcement, our people, and you got to have water rights. And that's why I mentioned that they're probably going to be, the legal growers will be at the table too to make the case for the water that they need. And the fire danger is never going to leave. And so if you're not fire-wise in your place and managing your water well or using something that you're not authorized to, you're going to be hurting our communities, and we're going to be pushing back. That's all I have. So are we going into executive session? Representative of the news, oh, wait. Before we do that, former Curry Parks Director Jay Trost, did you want to address the board? We're glad to have you here today. No? 2-1 vote passed. Yeah. You drove up from Brookings to Gold Beach.
Didn't even get out of the office, huh?
Hey, I'm going to be hitting you up for a donation for the Vets River Trip meal. Thank you. Was that a yes? We got everything donated except for dinner, so it's July 18th. Thank you. Good to see you, Jay Trost. Okay, so you want me to read the representative of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All of the members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. And I would guess that's going to be about a half hour, maybe more. So we're closing this meeting and changing tapes. Thank you, John Jesuit. Board of Commissioners, it is July 7th, 2021. We just left executive session, and we're back in regular session. The next item on the agenda, yes? Huh? We're asking the staff to proceed as directed, and we're on item agenda 12, hire orders. New hire for legal assistant. B, new hire for litter patrol crew leader. C, new hire for code enforcement officer. Can we do one motion on that, Council Pope?
As long as it's unanimous, I would say no issue.
Move approval of all three of those?
Second.
Any discussion, board? Staff Jesuit, thank you for your return. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, item number 13, I'm going to delay that or table that until next meeting because it's a page and a half. We're 10 minutes over, so I think that there's no urgency on this. And the title is, in the matter of resolution supporting the protection of constitutional rights during state emergencies. Anything else, board? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.